Friendship.
Hell yeah. Nice.
Sono il primo vichingo che non ha voluto uccidere un drago.
E il primo a cavalcarne uno.
Hiccup really loves to study dragons. I want to ask you, in your opinion, what can we learn from dragons?
Other than they're adorable, I would say, you know, at least to Hiccup and the Vikings themselves, I feel like it kind of, you know, teaches them a little bit more of some humanity. You know, I mean, they fought for generations and just, you know, taking each other's lives, and, you know, Hiccup meeting Toothless, it kind of changes everything, and especially for Stoic, and it really, and Astrid too, you know, I feel like it really changes their opinion, and I feel like it's a really cool message. A part of this movie is that, you know, even, you know, you might be wrong, and admitting that, you know, you might be wrong is pretty cool, and yeah.
And I feel like compassion and empathy is a really key through line through the movie, and I think that, you know, if there was a message to take from dragons or from the film or for anything, I think that to, you know, celebrate others' differences instead of chastise is always a really, really important thing. And I think what's so brilliant about this movie is that the key characters are the most different, and I think that and they are the most celebrated, and I think that that's something really wonderful, and for kids to see, or adults or anyone who's feeling a bit out of place, I think that that's a really wonderful thing to see reflected on screen.
Since you both ride dragons in this movie, how does it feel like to ride a dragon?
I mean, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. I think if you're a fan of the movies, I mean, at any age, but specifically from childhood, I do think there's something that is will never not be surreal about riding a dragon.
I know, seeing the
or
movie,
just seeing yourself ride a dragon.
yeah, seeing me ride the dragon, like
crazy.
the trailers and seeing the movie and stuff is insane. And then it's insane now, but the reality of it was just a bunch of hair dryers in my face.
Yeah, my dad when he first saw the movie saw a really, really rough cut super early on, and so none of the CGI was really even in there, and he was like, it was interesting because it was so epic and cool, but at the same time you would see an Irish man smoking in the background of some of the clips, and I was like, yeah, but if you look past that, you're in this world. So I think it was, you know, seeing it, I think, is the more kind of mind-blowing thing, because it also looks really real.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it is kind of, so it's like, was I really doing that? So it's, yeah.
And since Hiccup is so good to in making people change their mind, do you believe that Hiccup could have made Daenerys Targaryen see reason?
Honestly, I mean, I wish I can flesh out that answer more, but I have not seen Game of Thrones. But my dad is like the. You haven't? Okay, thank you. I thought you were gonna like fry
I've seen
me for
some
it.
of it, but I've never like.
My dad is the biggest Game of Thrones
Because
fan.
our set we filmed where they filmed Game of
Yeah,
Thrones.
yeah, that's where
And
they
your dad
filmed
saw
all of it,
the
Yeah, and I got him the dragon glass knife or something, whatever it's called. I don't know. I haven't watched it, but I
Clearly
knew.
super
Yeah,
big
yeah. I got him that as a gift. Yeah. I mean, all I know is that doesn't she burn a lot of people? And she's really bad.
Yeah.
Okay, I would probably tell her not to do that and
Hell
be
yeah,
kind
you
and
would.
friendship.
Hell yeah. Nice.
And love and unicorn, yeah. And Gobler really gives your character a great advice, which is stop trying to be something you are not. I want to know if in your life too, it's important to be always who you are, even if you both are actors, so you play other people, but it's important to stay true to yourself.
No, 100%. And I think that message in this film is so important because, you know, maybe if you're like Hiccup and you're not like everybody else and you really want to fit in, and if you like have this really cool passion, and, you know, maybe you think somebody wouldn't find it cool and you hide it away, like, flaunt it. If you think it's cool, then do it, you know? I think I think being different is better, to be honest. And, you know, Hiccup accepts that in this film and everybody else accepts him for it. And I feel like you could really take that message into your own life, and, you know, I have, and I feel like a lot of other people have as well, because, yeah, that message is very important to me.
I think it's also, you know, really, there's something actually really, especially I think, you know, just in general, I think being like young, and also there is an element of it of being, you know, young and kind of like in the spotlight to some degree. I think it can kind of be, I feel like for teenagers in general, conforming can kind of feel like the easy thing to do, because it is just, you know, to be one of, in a sense, and to be in a community that you just feel comfortable in, I think is something that people kind of really cling to a lot of the time, and it can be really difficult. Also, I think that as much as this movie really celebrates embracing your differences, embracing your otherness, I also think that it, you know, that's actually a really difficult thing to do. And like, you know, I find that difficult in life. I think kind of everyone does, but I do think that if there's one thing that you can take away from this film, it's just how brilliant things can be if you're able to. I think if you're able to kind of look at yourself and with a bit more compassion and more empathy, then you're kind of, you know, if you can celebrate you, then other people can too. I think is the kind of most, to me at least, one of the more focal things that I took from the film.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You're amazing, and the movie is beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.